Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Literary Lore. Today we'll be looking at the first requested piece. Fences is an exceptional play written by August Wilson that has been adapted into film to great acclaim. While I can't exactly link to the film, I do have the script in the description, and it's really cool to see the original designs and the stage directions and things like that whenever you look at those kinds of plays. So I would definitely suggest looking through it and kind of just seeing where everything shakes out. There's even some scenes in the script that don't show up in the actual film itself. So if you really enjoyed it, I would suggest reading through it and kind of getting a refresher there. But that's enough preamble. Let's learn a bit about Mr. Wilson. August Wilson was born in Pittsburgh, his father German, his mother African American. Growing up biracial, obviously presented some unique challenges that made it difficult for him to fit in. He and his family actually encountered varying degrees of discrimination based on where they happened to be living at that particular point in time. But throughout it all, he found his mom to be strong and essentially was what kept everyone together. All that is to say, he did drop out of high school in the 10th grade. While part of the motivation to do this was to support his family, it wasn't because actually doing everything was too difficult. In fact, he found the work far too simple. To the point where he wrote a 20-page paper on Napoleon, and his teachers then accused him of plagiarizing it. So yeah, he was definitely not being challenged. Throughout all of this, most likely due to not having many friends, he spent a large portion of his time at the Carnegie Library of Pittsburgh. So much so that he was later given an honorary degree from that place. And he found a great love for reading and writing. That said, he did not simply absorb all the works and produce his masterpieces from the ether. In fact, I am most impressed by how he synthesized the dialogue. You see, while most people may just try to create something from nothing, he would write his poetry on napkins, listening to the patrons of bars and cafes as they talk. Upon returning home, he would then type them out on a typewriter he paid about $10 for. I will note that as a result, the language is realistic and in some cases is considered abrasive to certain audiences. In addition, he was further influenced by Malcolm X, and he co-founded a whole theater. If I went through all of his achievements and accolades, there'd be no time in this episode to talk about the actual play, of which there's a lot to say already and a lot to show. Suffice to say, he was prolific and determined. Fences is part of the Centennial Cycle. It's 10 plays that he wrote that go over each of the decades in the 20th century. While these aren't exactly sequels to each other, they do carry on certain themes and they show the development of society as a whole. This is how he once described what his plays have to offer. I think my plays offer white Americans a different way to look at black Americans. For instance, in Fences, they see a garbage man, a person they don't really look at, although they see a garbage man every day. By looking at Troy's life, white people find out that the content of this black garbage man's life is affected by the same things: love, honor, beauty, betrayal, duty. Recognizing that these things are as much a part of his life as theirs can affect how they think about and deal with black people in their lives. Now, a certain actor you may have heard of, Denzel Washington, he's the one who plays Troy in the movie. He dedicated his life to bringing Wilson's plays to the screen. He loves Wilson's work so much that he even performed on the stage itself for Fences. So let's go ahead and start our analysis with Act 1, Scene 1. Act 1, Scene 1 begins with Troy Maxon, our protagonist, and Jim Bono, his best friend. Troy is telling a story, which he tends to do a lot, and it shows off initially how he has this charismatic nature and ability to take control of the conversation. It's a skill that we'll see employed throughout the play. We also see Bono's good nature when he gently asks Troy about a woman he's been talking to, Alberta. Now, the two men describe her as physically attractive, but Bono specifically says that Troy has been eyeing her. One of the core conflicts has just been established, because Troy is already married. Married, in fact, to Rose, whom walks out of their house and joins the conversation. She has no idea about what they were talking about previously, but Bono makes a point of describing how good she is for Troy and how she's made him a better man. She introduces Troy to the other core conflict of the story, that their son, Corey, has a shot at getting a football scholarship. Now, one would expect Troy to be proud of his son, but he instead begins to complain about the unfair conditions for people of color. He sees no avenue of success for his son because he never got his break in the major leagues. It's pointed out that he was just too old by the time things had changed enough for him, but he can't see beyond that. Before we can delve any further into his misgivings, Rose interrupts him and tells him he'll drink himself to death. This leads to the following scene, and as you watch it, try to visualize Troy's tale.
Now, you know I don't drink this but one night out the week. That's Friday night. I drink just enough to where I can handle it. Then I leave it alone. I cuts it loose. So you ain't got to worry about me drinking myself to death, because I ain't worrying about death. I done seen him, done wrestled with him. Look here, Bono. I look up one day, and death is marching straight at me like soldiers on parade. The army of death was marching straight at me. It was the middle of July, 1941. And it got real cold, just like it be winter. And it seemed like death himself reached out and touched me on the shoulder. He touched me like I touch you now. I got cold as ice. Death standing there grinning at me.
Troy, why did you hush that talk?
I said, what you want, Mr. Death? You be wanting me? You done sent your army to be getting me? I looked him dead in the eye. I wasn't fearing nothing. I was ready to tangle just like I'm ready to tangle now. Bible say be ever vigilant, so I don't get but so drunk. I got to keep watch.
Troy was right down there at Mercy Hospital. You remember he had that pneumonia, laying there with fever, talking plumb out his head.
And Death standing there staring at me, carrying that sickle in his hand. Finally, he say, you want bound over for another year? He just like that, say, you want bound over for another year? I said, bound over hell. We can settle this right now. He kind of fell back when I said that, and all the cold went out. I reached down. I grabbed that sickle, I threw it as far as I could throw it, and me and him commenced the wrestling. We wrestled for, carried the 3 days and 3 nights. Now, I don't know where I got the strength from, because every time he tried to get the best of me, I reached way deep down inside myself, found the strength to do him one better.
Every time Troy tells that story, he finds different ways to tell it, different things to make up about it.
I ain't making up nothing, woman. I'm telling you the facts of what happened. I wrestled with death for 3 days and 3 nights, and I'm standing here to tell you about it. All right. At the end of the third night, we done weakened each other. Well, we can't even hardly move. Death stood up. He threw on that robe, had a white robe with a hood on it. Oh. He threw on that robe and went off to look for that sickle, said, I'll be back. Just like that. I'll be back. I said, yeah, well, you're going to have to find me.
Now that you've had the chance to see the characters in action, let's do some analysis. First of all, you may have noticed Troy eats up a lot of the scene, and he's great at it. But Rose interjects at one point to point out what actually happened. Troy had been sick, and he was nearly dead. Now, Troy, lively as always, personifies death, actively wrestles with them. There's a few notes here though. You may have noticed that he mentions the Bible. At different points throughout the play, he'll misquote or completely make up what he thinks is in the Bible. Part of this is due to being illiterate, but it also generally shows his ignorance. Another major description that most likely stood out was that Death was not wearing a black hood. He describes him in a white one, a rather pointed reference to the KKK. One of the impressive components of this play is that it uses so few characters, and one benefit of that is that there are no shown white characters. Despite this, the presence of racism permeates the work. You see, Troy has already expressed how being black prevented him from going major, and his job as a garbage man has no upward mobility, again, due to the system's design. For Troy, white people are the source of his misfortune, and this leads us to the next story Troy tells. He describes making a deal with the devil, who, naturally, is a white man, in order to pay for the furniture in his house. He tells this story when Lyons, his older son, comes by looking to borrow $10. For all of Troy's bluster and showy affection for his wife, he struggles to really emotionally connect with anyone. Lyons, a musician by trade, is at odds with his father because Troy believes he is wasting his time and needs an actual job for his family, saying he won't see the $10 again. Scene 2 transitions to Rose in the backyard, singing a worship song, asking for Jesus to protect her like a fence. Unlike Troy, that mocks death and the devil, Rose spends her time singing and introduces the symbol of the fence as protection. When Troy enters a scene, she starts to talk to him about the numbers, a lottery game. The audience sees that Troy's negativity does not simply stop at crushing Corey's dreams, but also compels him to dump on games of chance. Hope has no value to Troy. As we'll see throughout the play, Troy has a tendency to see things in terms of transactional value. While there's a later scene that will illustrate this better, suffice to say that even though Rose is happy to play along with Troy's storytelling, He shuts down her flights of fancy with the lottery. I also want to point out his criticism of gambling, when according to Bono, he's gambling his relationship with Rose, thanks to his eyeing Alberta. It's at this point that Gabriel, Troy's brother, enters the scene. He's a very interesting character. We learn that he has suffered brain damage from a war injury, and seems to think he's the Archangel Gabriel, and therefore friends with St. Peter. Now, Gabe plays several roles, but the most obvious one is that he gave up a vital piece of who he was for his country. The same country designed to ensure people like his brother can't advance. Mechanically, Gabe is also a Shakespearean fool archetype. His mental infirmity, coupled with his innocence, allows him to present a warning that Troy can't understand. He tries to chase away hellhounds that are hunting Troy, perhaps his lust, and warns him to be ready for Judgment Day, that it's coming. He also, unintentionally, challenges Troy's worldview. Despite the frankly unfair hand he was dealt, Gabriel still finds joy in his life, and even has a home of his own. Troy believes that he has to take whatever he can to survive, that life will tear you apart if you let it. We'll talk about Gabe a bit more later. Scene 3 rolls around, finally bringing Corey to the house, and through dialogue between Corey and Rose, we see how the plot develops. Rose warns Corey that Troy will be upset with him for not helping build the fence. Corey responds that they never even build the fence anyways. Instead, Troy goes off to Taylor's, the bar Alberta lives near. Neither of them know about Troy's affair, and when he returns, Rose asks him what the score was, believing he was watching the game at the bar. Troy, of course, has no idea and tries to ignore it. Skipping a few lines to the father-son fence building session, we see them getting along well enough. Corey talks about how he wants a TV, and he's actually able to make a fair bargain with Troy, where they'll go halvesies on it. From there, they discuss how times have changed. Despite Troy's insistence that the major leagues are still racist, Corey brings up various African-American athletes that have made great strides in breaking those barriers. Corey represents the changing times and serves as a foil to Troy's pessimistic fear and anger at the past. He's unable to let Corey pursue his dream. He genuinely does it to protect him, but doesn't realize the harm he's doing. Which leads us to this next scene, and it's a strong one.
Can I ask you a question?
The hell you got to ask me? Mr. Stewiggy, the one you got the questions for.
How come you ain't never liked me?
Like you? Who the hell said I got to like you? What law is there say I got to like you? Want to stand up in front of my face and ask a damn fool-ass question like that? Talking about liking somebody. Come here, boy, when I talk to you. Straighten up, goddammit. I asked you a question. What law is there say I got to like you?
None.
All right, then. Don't you eat every day? Answer me when I talk to you. Don't you eat every day?
Yeah.
Nigga, as long as you in my house, you put a sir on the end of it when you talk to me.
Yes, sir.
You eat every day.
Yes, sir.
Got a roof over your head.
Yes, sir.
Got clothes on your back.
Yes, sir.
Why you think that is?
Because of you?
Hell, I know it's because of me. But why do you think that is?
Because you like me?
Like you. I go out of here every morning. I bust my butt putting up with them crackers every day because I like you. You're about the biggest fool I ever saw. It's my job. It's my responsibility. A man is supposed to take care of his family. You live in my house, fill your belly with my food, put your behind on my bed because you're my son. Not because I like you, because it's my duty to take care of you. I owe a responsibility to you. Now, let's get this straight right here and now before I go along any further. I ain't got to like you. Mr. Rand don't give me my money come payday because he like me. He give it to me because he owe me. Now, I don't give you everything I got to give you. I give you your life. Me and your mama worked that out between us, and liking your black ass wasn't part of the bargain. Now, don't you go through life worrying about whether somebody like you or not. You best be making sure they're doing right by you. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
Then get the hell out of my face and get on down to that A&P.
Now, we as the audience can see that Corey has a simple request. He isn't even asking Troy to love him. He just wants him to like him. But Troy responds by trying to give him a lesson. He lays out the purest distillation of his philosophy, that we pay our debts. His boss pays him because he owes him. Corey is his responsibility. He has to take care of him until he's a man. This is not an inherently harmful philosophy. But we do see that throughout the play that there is basically no room in Troy's life beyond what he thinks he is owed and what he owes. The two of them, while talking to each other, directly to each other, fail to understand where the other is coming from. You see, from Troy's perspective, he's teaching his son a hard lesson about how the world will most likely not like you. And that doesn't matter. You need to make sure you're given your due for your work and effort. The American dream. But from Corey's perspective, his father basically berates him for seeking a connection and told him to throw away his dream to get his job back. I will point out here that Corey was actually quite responsible about the whole scenario. He doesn't quit the whole thing with the job. He tries to explain to his dad that he'd already arranged for him to hold on to the job, and even during the argument, despite being very upset by the scenario, he tries to maintain the respect his dad is due. That said, let's move on to scene 4. 2 weeks after the play's opening, we are here with Troy, and he's been promoted to a garbage truck driver despite not having a driver's license and despite not being white. This is a major achievement, a step forward, removing another one of the multitudinous barriers to people of color. Lion shows up too, and even then he's paying back Troy the $10. The other plot elements pause to allow the family a moment of joy, a glimmer of hope and progress amid the tide of stress and desperation. An ironic point that happens here is that Troy refers to jazz as Chinese music. It's a derogatory line that delegitimizes it as a foreign concept. Of course, what makes it ironic is that Troy is being so ignorant and dismissive of a style of music birthed from his own culture. This, coupled with his other shortcomings, serve to paint Troy as someone too ignorant to realize that they are wrong and behind on the times. The men go to the backyard to tell their stories, and as you watch this next scene, consider how Troy's relationship with his father may differ from his relationship with either son.
Old mule called Gray Boy, my daddy sent me out to do some plowing. I got to fooling around with Joe Canewell's daughter. Found us a nice spot, got real cozy with each other. She about 13, so we didn't figure we grown anyway. So we down there by the creek enjoying ourselves, ain't thinking about nothing. Didn't know Gray Boy had gotten loose, wandered back to the house, and my daddy was looking for me. So we down there enjoying ourselves when he come up on us. Surprised us. Had them leather straps off that mule, commenced to whooping me like there was no tomorrow. I jump up, I'm mad, embarrassed. I was scared of my daddy. Now, when he commenced to whipping on me, quite naturally, I run to get out the way. Now, I think he mad because I ain't done my work. But I see where he chasing me off so he can have the gal for himself. When I see what the matter of it was, I lost all fear of my daddy, and right there I became a man, 14 years of age. Now it's my turn to run him off. I picked up them same reins he used on me. I picked up them reins, I commenced whooping on him. Gal jump up, she run off. When he turned to face me, I knew why the devil never come and get him, because he was the devil himself. I don't know what happened. I woke up laying there by the creek and Blue, this old dog we had. He was licking my face. Both my eyes was swole shut. I thought I was blind. I couldn't see nothing. I just laid there and cried. And didn't know what I was going to do, but I knew time had come for me to leave my daddy's house. And suddenly the world got big. It was a long time before I could cut it down the way I could handle it.
So Troy is trying his best. He had a rough childhood, and as he just noted, his father was unequivocal trash. The severity of his beatings and the other intended atrocities really set the bar low for him to consider himself a good dad. He wants what's best for Corey. He even learned from his mistakes with Lyons, not being there for him like he was for Corey. Avoiding going back to jail, playing by the book. But while he provides for his son financially, he does so out of duty, not necessarily out of love. The last thing to point out here is that there is a noted progression in this scene from a generational perspective. Each generation slowly finds more freedom compared to the predecessors after the abolition of slavery. Freedom is taken, piece by piece, in little ways. Troy's promotion, Lion's music, even Corey seeking to pursue football. But the scene ends with Corey furious. He raises his voice to his dad, going as far as to say that he's holding him back because he's afraid he'll be better than him. After a particularly tense moment, Troy informs his son that he has received his first strike, and that he better not strike out. So Wilson gave us a moment to see the family in a happy state, just to remind us of the drama that their everyday lives have in a big way. We as the audience are left to wonder what the next 2 strikes will be. Thus ends Act 1 of 2 for Fences. I wanted to cover each act in its own episode to avoid going too long. There's a lot to cover in this play, and there's some heavy material as well. I've cut out a few minutes for the sake of brevity, but wanted to avoid not giving Fences the credit it deserves. The next episode will be longer, as I'll be expanding on the concepts presented here. Please feel free to leave your thoughts in the comments below. If you have any suggestions for what I can cover next, I'm all ears. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next week with the second half. Until then, Carpe Diem.